We see the moon at night, and the story starts in a messed up village, where these crazy monsters are killing everyone they see. There's little left of this place, except for a little girl who somehow managed to survive. Amidst the destruction, we see this boy looking down at the heartbreaking scene. Regardless of the circumstances that led to this devastation, that was the moment that led both down the path to becoming someone great. As they join forces to combat the monstrous creatures, their eyes meet, and the guy gets down on his knees to kiss the girl's hand, causing a collar to form around his neck and a surge of energy bursts forth. But to understand why what he just did has any significance, let's talk about this guy named Yuuki. He's always whining about having to clean up every morning at school, and his so-called friends, who look like characters we will probably never see again, have a good laugh. These they can relax because Yuuki is a genius and has unmatched cleaning skills. Just then, all the girls show up late to school like they always do, and the guys can't do anything about it, because they don't have powers like the girls do. It turns out that girls can gain powers just by eating peaches, which is ridiculous. Yuuki starts griping about how useless his life is because guys are playing life on hard mode from the moment they're born. But our hero Yuuki finds ways to be useful. One of his buddies asks him to fix a button on his suit like guys tend to do. And guess what? Yuuki pulls out his super sewing kit and fixes it up in no time, like a freaking human sewing machine. His friends are all saying, "Wow, you're amazing." But our boy points out that his sewing skills don't help him get any ladies. His older sister taught him how to sew because boys are pretty worthless since they don't receive the benefits of the peaches. But she was pretty mean about it. If he didn't do it right, she'd choke him until he passed out. So when Yuuki's friend asks about his sister, the other student tells him that this is a sensitive topic. Now it's almost time for Yuuki to start thinking about a career, but he wonders if that's all there is to life, working a dead-end job and sewing all the time. He feels like he'll be useless and ugly forever. But then Yuuki snaps out and tells himself that there's gotta be more out there, a place where he can make a difference without having to sew a damn thing. Just then, the area gets all foggy, and a strong gust of wind pushes him back. When the fog clears, Yuuki realizes he's in his worst nightmare, a place called Motto. He starts freaking out and frantically searches for his phone to find the Motto instruction manual. Motto is an alternate dimension accessible through gateways known as doors, which suddenly appeared all over Japan. Damage and injuries sustained as a result of monsters known as Shuki entering their world, or civilians accidentally wandering into Motto are referred to as Motto mishaps. When civilians find themselves in Motto, they are instructed to stay put and wait for the Demon Defense Force to rescue them from the monsters known as Shuki. Terrified, Yuuki plans to follow the instructions and wait for rescue, but one of the horrifying Shuki appears and attacks him. Yuuki runs for his life, desperately trying to escape the monsters that resemble creatures from a horror movie. However, he reaches a dead end, and several more Shuki surround him. Realizing he's trapped, comes up with the idea of throwing a rock at the creature, hoping it would distract or deter it. Unfortunately, the rock has no effect and only manages to anger the Shuki. Yuuki then imagines what his body would look like after getting sliced up by this thing. He desperately wishes for a different fate. Just as the demon is about to strike, Yuuki is miraculously saved by a girl riding on a Shuki. She calls him unlucky for being attacked so quickly and initiates a fight with all the other beasts. She cut a group of ugly demons in half with her sword. However, she notices that her Shuki has had its arms ripped off. She knew the dumb thing would be too weak, so she continued taking care of business on her own. Introducing herself as Kaioyuka, the commander of the 7th Squadron in the Demon Defense Force, the girl instructs Yuuki to stay back. However, Yuuki tries to be helpful by pointing out that the situation is rapidly deteriorating. Impressed by his observation, she takes control of one of the Shuki by putting a chain around its neck, and together they make their escape. They are soon pursued by the monsters, but they are joined by Himari, Ni, and Shushu, who come to back up their commander. The three girls report that there are no other survivors, prompting Kaioyuka to survey their surroundings once again. She discovers a horde of low-level monsters approaching rapidly, so Kaioyuka tells them to handle it, while she takes That's Ugly to safety. The girls swiftly take care of the approaching horde, demonstrating their extraordinary abilities. Himari does her best impression of Iron Man and transforms her hand into some kind of Gatling gun to put a bunch of holes in the demons, while Shushu showcases her ability, and shows off her ability to grow into a giant like she's one of from the anime Attack on Titan. Yuuki realizes that these girls possess incredible powers derived from peaches. Girls are wild, which surprises him, as he has only heard rumors about the Demon Defense Force. But seeing them in action amazes him. As the girls finish off the remaining Shuki, we see that they find an unconscious ugly boy. They are all exhausted after the intense work they have just completed. They are concerned about Kaioyuka's safety, but they have faith in her abilities as a commander and believe she is fine. Before they can head home for the day, they have one more location to check for survivors. However, the little boy they rescued wakes up and panics because he doesn't see his big sister, and everyone looks at him. Meanwhile, they come across the sister being attacked by a horde of Shuki. Yuuki wastes no time and jumps in to save the sister from the attacking Shuki. However, the Shuki whom Yuuki had turned into his servant is too slow to escape the horde, so they get surrounded. Kyoyuka defends against the Shuki and erects a basic barrier to keep them all at bay. She tells Yuuki and the girl that there is no need to panic, but the Shuki that cracked the barrier poses a significant threat. Kyoyuka thinks to herself that if she were alone, it wouldn't matter if she died here, but she has people to protect, so she can't give up. Kyoyuka knows that her ability, compared to others who obtained abilities from the fruit of this dimension, is considered weak. However, she refuses to give up on her dream of becoming the Supreme Commander. Given the dire situation, she decides to take drastic measures and use her ability on Yuuki as there are no other options. She tells him that there is something important that she needs him to do for them to survive this situation, and Yuuki eagerly offers his help. But when he learns that he will become Kyoyuka's slave, That's Ugly is suddenly less excited. Kyoyuka asks the little girl to close her eyes because what is about to happen might be rated smash. She explains to that if he had enhanced strength, they might have a chance of escaping. But achieving that requires her to use her ability on him, something she doesn't particularly want to do but finds intriguing. She extends her hand for Yuuki to lick, and as he does, he begins to transform into a powerful monster. Once his transformation is complete, he possesses the power necessary to easily defeat the incoming Shuki. Excited to see her ability working so well, Kyoyuka grabs the little girl and hops on Yuuki's back to escape the dangerous situation. With Yuuki's newfound power, they reach the rest of the team safely, and the boy is relieved to see his sister unharmed. Unfortunately, the remaining Shuki in the area merge into one large entity. Kyoyuka once again mounts Yuuki and commands him to take down the final Shuki. Together their combined strength, they easily defeat it with. After the battle, Kyoyuka's ability wears off, and our boy returns to his original form. It's time to go home, but Kyoyuka rudely declines the other girl's offer to return home, because she wants to have an important and secret conversation with her new toy. She reveals that he surprised her. She never would have guessed that an average ugly like him had it in him to turn into such a beast. She wants to make him her permanent slave, but her statement leaves him speechless. However, before anything else, she explains an important caveat to her ability. She kisses Yuuki on the face, calling him a pervert, and stating that this is the price he must pay as her slave. Since she is the master, she must reward her slave with a reward equal to the work he does for her. Yuuki's heart races, and he can't believe that his reward is a kiss. Kyoyuka acknowledges that he worked hard, and shockingly offers him another kiss. Yuuki freaks out, as she has given him plenty to dream about already, and declines the offer. In his panic, he accidentally hits her in the face. Kyoyuka sympathizes with him, explaining that she wasn't expecting the situation either. On the other hand, is a disgusting pervert, and she reveals that her body moves automatically during these moments, regardless of her true feelings. As a result, she plants another kiss on him. Afterward, Yuuki wears a dumbstruck expression, still stunned by his first kiss. Kyoyuka becomes serious and explains that if even one of the Shuki were to appear in the real world, it would result in numerous casualties. Her goal is to become the Supreme Commander and eradicate these vile creatures once and for all. However, the current Supreme Commander is ugly and too lenient. She believes that with Yuuki's help, she can achieve her goal, so she insists that he works for her. Yuuki admits that he isn't good at sports or academics, but he is confident in his ability to be ugly and keep a house clean. Surprisingly, this isn't a problem for Kyoyuka, because she likes the ugly one who knows how to clean. Apart from that, Yuuki displayed courage when trying to save the girl, even if he was just acting as a shield. Kyoyuka thinks he's not too bad for an ugly guy, and Yuuki finally finds some courage and declares that he wants to become a hero in Motto. He can transform into a monster resembling a cross between Attack on Titan and One Piece, and for the first time, he feels like he can avenge his sister's death. Soon after, they go to the Demon Defense for Storm. That's Ugly passes through the barrier and prepares to become a member of the Demon Defense Force. He is a different ugly man now, confidently standing before the girls, awaiting his introduction. The girls wonder who this ugly person is, and Kyoyuka introduces him as the caretaker. She explains that during battle, he will be her slave, but at the dorm, he will be the girls' caretaker. Some of these girls have never even seen a boy before, but Kyoyuka assures them that they are all skilled fighters. However, the girls have colorful personalities, so their caretakers usually don't stick around for long. Yuuki, being ugly and great at cleaning, seems to be the perfect fit. This upsets him as he had hoped to join the Demon Defense Force, but Kyoyuka explains that men are not allowed to join. Kyoyuka instructs the girls to make Yuuki feel at home, and they waste no time assigning him chores. Yuuki struggles to keep up, but Ni is the only one who treats him kindly, assuring him that everything will be okay. The others quickly remind him that Ni has superiority over him, and he must not disobey her. Yuuki's dreams of a meaningful life are shattered, as he falls into a deep depression, having to obey the orders of an ugly child. But they all have no qualms about dumping their work on his shoulders. However, things may not be so bad, as Kayuka warmly welcomes him to the squadron. Sometime later, Yuuki finishes up his cleaning duties with a sense of pride, but notices that the scenery in Mato isn't all that great. Just then, this sneaky Shuki tries to attack Yuuki, thinking he's being all clever. But guess what? Yuuki is protected by a barrier that stops the stupid Shuki in its tracks. Ni shows up to check if he's okay and explains that the 7th Squadron is stationed in Mato's unlucky southwest area, which is why more Shuki is hanging around there compared to the other dorms. Mato is this alternate dimension, as big as Tokyo City, and it's split into 8 different locations. Each location has its own demon defense force too. Ni thinks of herself as Yuuki's teacher, but he's not sure if he can get used to a kid being his boss. He puts that thought aside for now, and wonders if they should do something about that Shuki who's just awkwardly hanging around. But Ni says it's just a small fry and they can ignore it. Himari disagrees though, and blasts the Shuki away with her Gatling gun. Yuuki gets upset because she almost hit them, but Himari points out that if she wanted to hit him, he'd be riddled with bullets by now. Himari asks Yuuki to get to work and prepare dinner, reminding him that he's only there because of Kyoka. Yuuki starts thinking that being a caretaker sucks, and he gets this weird feeling like he's sensing someone. That night, everyone raves about Yuuki's cooking skills, and even Himari wants another serving. Yuuki feels great after all the compliments and manages to keep a positive attitude even when they remind him of his other duties. The ugly gets back to work, but he suddenly remembers that he wants to be a hero, not just a ugly worker. Yuuki brings up his concerns about doing chores all day, but Kayuka tells him that she'll use him in battle when the time comes. She tells him to focus on housekeeping until then, and when he finally stands up for himself, Himari threatens to chop his head off. Kayuka acknowledges that some of the others might be uncomfortable with having a male caretaker, but Yuuki is great at cleaning, and he's crucial to her ability. She asks everyone to be nice to him and assures him that she'll castrate him if he messes up. That night, Shushu, who's shrunk down to really tiny, thinks she just caught Yuuki spying on one of the girls, so threatens to snitch on him to the commander. Shushu explains that she can either grow or shrink, and she snaps a pic that proves his guilt. Curiosity got the best of her, so she's been keeping a close eye on Yuuki. Yuuki tries to explain that he's just cleaning, but she ain't interested in none of his excuses. Yuuki figures she's trying to squeeze some money out of him, but she just likes to keep things spicy. She wants him to be her slave, but he tries to explain that he's already a slave. Shushu makes him clean her room, and his attempt to delete the picture flops. She tells him to do her laundry too, but that only gives her another chance to take a deceptive picture. While our boy walks around feeling down about being bullied, he stumbles upon Kayuka and Himari training outside. Right then, Shuki shows up, and Kayuka takes the chance to show Himari how it's done. She effortlessly wipes out Shuki, shocking Yuuki and impressing Himari. Yuuki can't believe how she takes down Shuki in a flash, and he realizes he can never get on her bad side. Nai shows up and reveals she will be leaving with Himari for a meeting, so Yuuki's stuck with Shushu to guard the dorm. That night, Shushu makes him give her a massage and spills that she grew up without a dad. She came to Mato looking for some thrill, even if it meant risking her life. The two decide to play some video games, but Yuuki warns her that he's pretty darn good. They make a little bet, which Yuuki is hesitant to accept at first, but eventually decides he'll win and make her apologize for treating him like crap. However, he ends up losing every game and even loses his shirt in the process. Right then, they gotta rush outside, because a gigantic Shuki appears to attack the barrier. Yuuki thinks they should stay back, but Shushu shows off how big she can get. Yuuki does his best to keep up, but these giants are about to fight soon. His big monster thinks it can take on Shushu, but she effortlessly grabs it and slams it into the ground. Yuuki is amazed as he watches her overpower the monster with ease. Shushu sends it flying, only to deliver a devastating punch that crushes it beneath her feet. Shushu shrinks a bit afterward because being that size takes a toll on her energy. Just as she celebrates her victory, another massive blob-like monster attacks her. A bunch more Shuki merged with it. Making it even bigger, Shushu quickly realized that things could get worse if she didn't end the fight now. She tries to use her ability to grow even more, but it inexplicably fails. The monsters eventually restrain her, rendering her immobile, and the giant monster lands a powerful punch. Yuuki feels completely helpless, and can only watch as the giant monster gains the upper hand, with another devastating blow. At that moment, Yuuki desperately wishes he could transform, but he knows it's impossible without Kayuka. He wishes there was something he could do, and then he remembers that he transformed when he kissed Kayuka's hand. With a stroke of genius, he comes up with the idea to kiss something that belongs to her. He rushes to the laundry room in a hurry. Licking her glove doesn't work as expected, but it triggers a transformation, giving him a clue that he's on the right track. Sticking his face in her shirt causes his foot to transform, but he needs a stronger reaction. After some searching, he finds her boots, but he starts to question what they say about him as a pervert. Meanwhile, things are taking a turn for the worse for Shushu outside, so Yuuki rushes out with Kyoyuka's boot. Time is running out, and he must act now if he wants to be a hero, even if it means doing something as unappealing as licking a boot. With a disgusted face, he does exactly that, and suddenly, power surges through his body. Back at the fight, Shushu realizes that she may have pushed herself too far by transforming into her jumbo size. The monster shows no signs of slowing down, but Shushu knows her body will soon revert to its normal size. Just then, our hero charges towards her, and is partially transformed and determined to give it his all, even if he's not at full power. Shushu holds the thing in place, giving Yuuki the perfect chance. He throws a powerful kick, totally obliterating that thing's head and winning the fight. Shushu thinks he's being too reckless, because fighting at only half his strength, but Yuuki does it because she calls him a wimp and tells him to stay back before the fight. Afterward, Kyoyuka works on fixing up Yuuki's body, because there are some pretty painful consequences for forcing a transformation on him. The others tease him for being out of commission after just a couple of minutes of fighting, but he points out that he hasn't learned how to use his powers properly yet. He wonders if they should fix the barrier, but Kyoyuka reveals that barriers protecting important places have special features. As long as the damage is minor, it'll fix itself. Yuuki realizes that this explains what happened when the Shuki attacked earlier too. Kyoyuka gets back to working on our hero, but it hurts like hell, and he wonders if this is his punishment for protecting the dorm. Kyoyuka scolds Shushu for underestimating their opponent and tells her to help Yuuki with his chores as a punishment. But when they leave, Shushu reveals that she has more incriminating photos of him, so she'll keep being his boss. Yuuki realizes how dire the situation is becoming for him, and wonders if he'll ever be free. Elsewhere, we see a barrier get shattered. Another group of demon forces shows up to find out what caused it, and one of them tells the others to let their commander know. The remaining girl gets ready to fight that thing and realizes that her opponent is no ordinary Shuki. The beast straight up ignores her attack, and grabs the two people trying to escape, showing itself and knocking the first girl back. The Shuki is about to devour her, but a mysterious person orders it to stop. This mysterious lady talks to the Shuki, but she explains that she can feel Yuuki's presence somewhere around, and it's time to visit him. Later on, Kyoyuka takes Yuuki through some crazy interdimensional gateway stuff, and tells him to chill while she handles important paperwork. Yuuki couldn't believe how wild it was that they only had to drive for like 50 minutes on the other side to get here. Finally, Kyoyuka comes back and tells Yuuki to enjoy the fresh air, because time off ain't something that happens often. Yuuki's curious about where they're headed, but Kyoyuka ain't giving any serious answer. Back in Mado, Shosho goes looking for Yuuki and finds out that the commander took him through the Yamagata passage. She's kinda taken aback at first, but then it hits her that today's a really tragic day. Now with Yuuki, Kyoyuka brings him to a freaking cemetery. He starts spilling the beans about this incident from a while back when a bunch of Shuki ended up wandering into this world, and one of them was crazy powerful. Kyoyuka remembers the day like it was yesterday, and she describes this badass behemoth with a single horn. That unicorn stuck in her mind, because when she was a kid, that thing went on a rampage, and straight up massacred her hometown, so she called it the unicorn. All the Shuki that crossed over that day got their asses kicked by the Demon Defense Force, who showed up to lend a hand. But get this, after digging through the records, Kyoyuka finds out that the damn unicorn managed to escape. It was the only Shuki that made it out, and it used the gateway to go back to Mado. And guess what? That freaking unicorn is still alive. Kyoyuka's pissed and she's dead set on settling the score with that powerful demon. She's dead set on wiping it off the face of the earth, and she wants Yuuki to be ready when the day comes. That's why she brought him to the cemetery, to show him all the peeps she's gonna avenge. Anyway, it's time to head back to Mado, but Yuuki wants a little break. He checked out some reviews and found out that this cafe nearby is known for its epic parfaits. Kyoyuka explains that returning to Mado is more important, but Yuuki easily convinces her with a pic of a mouth-watering parfait. Kyoyuka's surprised by his assertiveness, but she still cares more about Mado. Yuuki opens up and tells her that he lost his sister in some Mado accident, so he can understand the pain Kyoyuka's going through. Yuuki thinks a pretty smart kid, pointing out that if she burns herself out, she'll totally miss her chance for revenge. Kyoyuka, she ain't just assertive, she's persuasive too. And damn, that parfait hits the spot. Kyoyuka's smile reminds Yuuki of his sister. They always got along like a house on fire, and she'd always push him to learn stuff like cooking and cleaning. Right then, Kyoyuka gets an emergency call from Mado. It ain't life or death, but some serious shit's going down. Break time's over in a flash, and Kyoyuka's got Yuuki transformed into his demon form. That gets them moving real quick, and they haul ass back to the dorms. Kyoyuka's gotta change into her uniform, so she asks Yuuki to come with her. They head to her room, and Kyoyuka asks Yuuki to help her take off her stockings. Yuuki's wondering if this is some kinda reward for his abilities, and Kyoyuka straight up tells him she wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't. Now Yuuki's all like, damn, do I secretly have a pervy fetish or something? Anyway, he takes off Kaioyuka's stockings. At the meeting, Kaioyuka gets word that there's been a discovery during patrols. Some crater-like thing popped up nearby, and there's a shit ton of Shuki swarm in the area. Yuuki takes a peek at the iPad, and damn near has a heart attack seeing hundreds of those Shuki on the radar. Even Kaioyuka's amazed because she's never seen anything like this before. Mei uses her power and figures out that the Shuki ain't going nowhere. They're settling in and making some kinda nest. Wiping out all those Shuki is gonna be one hell of a job for their squad, and Yuuki's got his fire lit. Kaioyuka decides they'll roll out with 3 vehicles, and Yuuki's shocked to find out he's considered one of them. Yuuki takes off ahead of the rest, and they call him a wild beast. He and Kaioyuka reach the crater, and he's thinking how fucked it'd be if someone got stuck in there with all of them Shuki. He's ready to go ham on them, but Kaioyuka tells him to hold his horses for her signal. The rest of the crew starts attacking first, and Kaioyuka explains that if the Shuki come out, it'll be easier to take them down all at once. The Shuki may be tough, but their fighting style is as basic as hell. As long as they stick to the plan, they can't lose. Kaioyuka tells Yuuki to be on standby because they're gonna strike once a big-ass Shuki hits its peak size. But out of nowhere, a fucking powerful beam blasts the show. They look up and see it came from this single horned beast. Kaioyuka recognizes it right away as the one that massacred all those people, and now it's coming for them. It wrecks their truck, and the chick riding on it says she's joining the party. Himari's all surprised, because she thought the chick was a monster, but that just pisses her off. She lets loose a massive attack, but Himari barely manages to block it by turning her arm into a shield. Shit, though the attack's too damn strong, Himari's shield gets wrecked, and she gets blasted by that devastating beam. Yuuki and Kaioyuka ain't wasting no time. They go straight for an attack and manage to shove the unicorn back. The chick is impressed by their power, and Kaioyuka is fuming to come face to face with the unicorn once again. The chick finds it funny that they got a nickname for the demon, and Yuuki is straight up shaken by how damn terrifying the beast looks, the one that wrecked Kaioyuka's hometown. Our whole team is messed up big time, and Kaioyuka demands to know who the hell this chick is. This chick explains she's the archenemy of the Demon Defense Force, and Kaioyuka's jaw drops when she pulls out a motto peach. This chick wonders if Kaioyuka's seen her little bro anywhere, but Kaioyuka didn't say a word. This chick uses the peach as a distraction to land a sneaky attack, but Yuuki barely manages to stop it. Ardo tries some fancy combo move, but it ends up being a total dud against the girl. The girl started blabbering about how her little brother used to follow her everywhere when they were kids. But as he got older, he turned into a little troublemaker. As this chick gains the upper hand in the fight, she explains that her brother getting older just meant she could finally teach him some damn manners. Yuuki can't tell if this chick is a Shuki or not, but he knows for damn sure she's unlike any other opponent he's ever faced. The chick's about to spill her brother's name, but she gets cut off by all the Shuki combining into one big honking giant. This chick is steaming mad about the interruption, but that sight reminded Yuuki of his sister. In a fit of rage, the girl squashed the giant beast like it was nothing. She even fed the remains to the unicorn, and Kaioyuka finally realized she must be the big boss of the Shuki. The girl was ticked off that they didn't know squat about motto, and she effortlessly dodged our boy's attack. She goes on about how this world is cursed as hell and separates Kaioyuka from Yuuki with a slick move. She seemed impressed by Kaioyuka's powerful Shuki, and she took hold of him. Yuuki's terrified she's gonna crush him like she did the giant, but the chick is stunned. She realizes he ain't no Shuki at all. She reached for him, but Kaioyuka jumped back into the fray, pushing the girl away. Kaioyuka managed to inflict some damage, but the unicorn intervened, stopping her in her tracks. But Kaioyuka wasn't about to let those cowards off the hook. She'd gone full on berserk and vowed to do to them what the unicorn did to their fleeing villagers. She swears she'll tear them apart from her ass, but when she looks for Yuuki, she sees he's busy helping our team. Kaioyuka swallows her pride and tells Yuuki that Himari and Shosho's safety is their #1 priority, so they gotta fall back for now. Kaioyuka totally regrets letting her anger get the best of her, now realizing it nearly cost her squad mates. When they get back to the dorm, Kaioyuka explains that their injuries ain't too bad, and they'll be fully healed by tomorrow. As a reward this time, the little weirdo gets stepped on, which freaks Yuuki the hell out. He's scared shitless by what his inner self is demanding. Yuuki apologizes for letting the unicorn slip away, but Kaioyuka ain't laying the blame on him. Getting the team out safely was the top priority. She figures the girl they fought must be some new kind of Shuki species. It blows her mind that one of them can actually understand their language now, and she's damn sure the world will go nuts when they hear this news. Then Yuuki drops a bombshell on her, saying he thinks the girl looks a whole lot like his sister. She had a weird reaction when she saw his face too. Kaioyuka's skeptical as fuck, because no human could be that strong. Because nobody's ever heard of a human turning into a Shuki. While they're cooking, Yuuki's still pondering if it really is his sister. The thing is, he can't figure out how the hell she managed to survive or why she'd be fighting against the Demon Defense Force. He's clueless as fuck about what to do if he runs into her again. but he needs to snap back to reality and finish up his cooking. They makes him kneel for some official talk as his superior, and she straight up punches him in the face for putting everyone in danger. With that shit out of the way, she understands that he fought his ass off to protect everyone, and tells him she'll handle dinner so he can get some rest. But Yuuki still lends a hand in the kitchen, and decides he'll figure out what the hell to do about the demon girl later because I got shit to do right now. Somewhere else, we find out that the girl's name is Ardo. She's been getting mocked for coming back with injuries, but this healer named Coco fixes her up real quick. Ardo is pretty damn sure that the monster she fought was her brother Yuuki, but she can't wrap her head around how he ended up looking like a Shuki. Ardo thought they didn't let dudes in the Demon Defense Force, but regardless, she's stoked about their little reunion. Now the scene shifts to Yuuki taking a bath, and he's thinking about his fight with that one-horned Shuki. And guess what? Shosho barges into the bath, and thanks Yuuki for saving her ass. She offers to scrub his back as a thank you, and she's like, "Don't you dare turn around because I'm butt naked." Yuuki figures she's just messing around, probably wearing a swimsuit or something. But he decides to test her and turns around. Turns out Shosho's actually stark naked, and he bolts out of the bath like lightning. Shosho's all like, "Oh damn, having you see me in the buff got my heart racing." In the changing area, Yuuki spots Himari getting ready to hop in the bath. But damn, she's pissed at him and starts chasing him around with her hand transformed into a freaking chainsaw. Yuuki tries explaining that he used the occupied sign, but Himari's all pissed, saying he should have made it clear a dude was in there. She's about to attack him, but out of nowhere, a gateway opens up, and these two chicks pop out. One's the boss of the 6th squad, Tenka, and the other's her second in command, Yachiho. They're all hyped about Yuuki because the dude's getting mad popular, but Tenka has him get Kyoyuka. When everyone gets together, Tenka gives props to Kyoka for having a badass coffee-making slave. The big boss sent a message about this nasty humanoid called Shuki showing up, so Tenka's here to talk about it. Usually, each squadron does its own thing, but from now on, the Demon Defense Force is gonna be more tight-knit. Chiho is a real jerk because mocking Himari for passing out during the battle against that humanoid. She calls her a scaredy cat and says she's ruining the family's rep. Chiho tells her to give up on her dreams and come back home. But the truth is, Tenka points out that this Shuki character is actually pretty tough. Kyoyuka agrees and gets why they gotta work together now. Yachiho talks big about teaming up with Kyoyuka, but she ain't got no trust in Kyoyuka's crew. She straight up says she won't mention any names, but she's sure there's gonna be someone who's gonna slow them down. Kyoyuka gets an idea and says they gotta size up each other's strengths. So she suggests having a match between the squadrons like a model exhibition match. Everyone's shocked, and Yuuki, bless his little pea brain, immediately thinks of a sports match. Thank God Nei sets him straight and tells him it's actually a test of strength and skills between the squadrons. Kyoyuka wants it to be one-on-one combat and Tenka agrees. But first, Tenka's gotta get things ready, so they dip. Right then, Himari asks Kyoyuka to help her get ready for the match. Kyoyuka explains it won't be a cakewalk, but Himari declares she'll do whatever it takes to come out on top. Kyoyuka agrees and tells Himari to start her training. Himari then turns to Yuuki and spills the beans that their little deal means Yuuki is now her lackey. After they chow down on Yuuki's grub, he spills the beans, and his secret ingredient is chicken fat. Himari's like, "Damn, you're a top-notch slave," and Yuuki's left wondering how the hell he got into this situation in the first place. The answer's simple. Himari says she's gotta win. Kyoyuka knew that Chiho's attitude got under Himari's skin, so this match was a chance for Himari to teach her a lesson. As they head out for training, Yuuki's still scratching his head, wondering how he ended up being Himari's slave. That's when Himari spills the beans that her ability to transform her body parts into weapons ain't even her main power. She shows Yuuki her phone, and it looks like some kind of trading card game. Himari explains her ability is called learning. That means she can learn other people's abilities and use them herself. Yuuki points out how ridiculously overpowered that is, and Himari goes on to say that all she has gotta do is select someone's ability on her phone and unleash it. She's got the commander selected now, so she can use Kyoyuka's badass power. Yuuki wonders if Himari knows all the deets about Kyoyuka's ability, but all she knows is that it's physically demanding. Himari figures it just means she'll have to handle the boring cleaning and laundry, and she's cool with that as long as she kicks her sister's ass. But then, they get surrounded by Shuki, so Himari tells Yuuki to transform. Yuuki reminds her that he already warned her, so he transforms, but this time it's a bit different. He's got a whole new shape compared to when the commander does it, and Demon Yuuki is way faster. He's thinking about how he can move at lightning speed in this form, even faster than Kyoyuka. The only downside is that he's not as strong, but he decides to work with what he's got. Yuuki goes full speed ahead and unleashes a crazy frenzy of punches. Himari's jaws drop, and she's all confident now that Yuuki can help her beat her sister. Once Yuuki finishes wrecking the Shuki, he starts wondering why Himari chose this ability over others she could have picked. Himari explains that it's because this gives Yuuki a chance to finally be useful. She's about to go on a gratitude rant, but then she stops dead in her tracks when she finds out the price they gotta pay for using Kyoyuka's ability. Then she shows Yuuki her undies and she's like, what the heck is happening? She realizes she can't stop, and Yuuki tells her that's the price she's gotta pay for using Kyoyuka's ability. He tells her she can't stop until he's fully rewarded, and she asks Yuuki to look away. Yuuki does as she says, but even after waiting for a while, the reward doesn't end. So Yuuki tells her it won't stop until he's completely rewarded, and Himari decides to speed things up by sitting on his face. After Yuki gets his reward, he explains that Himari should completely change his power game. And Himari's all like, dude, I wish I could, but my learning ability has this compatibility thing going on. It messes up most powers, they become total garbage. She gives an example: if I tried Shosho's growing abilities, her nose would be the only thing to grow by an inch. Then Yuuki reminds her about the cost of using Kyoyuka's abilities, but Himari just accepts it without hesitation. Yuuki's curious why she's so damn desperate to outshine her sister, so she starts spilling some backstory. She was born into this super fancy family with all her older sisters being hella successful, so naturally everyone expected big things from Himari too. But she'd always push herself too damn hard before important events and end up injured, or she'd get mad nervous and catch a damn fever. It's like she's never had any real results to show, and Yuuki can totally relate. To make matters worse, everyone knew about her weak-ass power, so she'd always get teased when she couldn't keep up with her sisters. This is her first shot since she cut ties with her family to prove them all wrong about her. Himari's demanding that Yuuki cooperate, and he's like, damn, it's tough trying to help someone who can't even ask nicely. Himari spills the beans and says her ultimate goal is to become a hero, just like our commander. She's hoping that if she can beat Chiho, she'll unlock a whole new version of herself. I've been wanting to unleash a different side of myself too. Himari says there's only one thing missing from our fight, and that's a badass finishing move to wreck our enemy. It finally hits Yuuki that all he's been doing is mindlessly punching and kicking like a maniac. But now I'm using my brain, and realizing that Himari might be the key to unlocking a new path for me. I'm convinced, and I'm down to help her out. Himari reminds him that he is her slave, and she spills the beans about her sister's power called Golden Hour. She can control time, freeze it, and even rewind it. When Yuuki hears this, his once confident and optimistic attitude fades, and he realizes they're screwed. Over at the other squadron's dorm, Yachiho confirms that Himari is talking about her. She swore that Himari would lick her boots and couldn't be more thrilled about it. During practice, Himari spills the tea. Chiho's power is hella dangerous, it drains her energy. If she uses it too many times, she'll get tired, and that's their chance to win. Yuuki points out that the fact that Chiho can use her ability multiple times is a huge problem, but there's more. Himari explains that Yachiho pulls off some weird-ass pose to trigger her ability, thinking it enhances her skills or some crap. So Yuuki suggested that we use my super speed for our finishing move. Himari agrees and plans to pull off an ultra-fast maneuver that won't even give Chiho a chance to freeze or rewind time. We're gonna catch her off guard, no doubt. We need this finishing move to pack enough punch to knock Chiho right out of the fight. Yuuki tries a swift step forward into a head punch, but we gotta polish it up into a deadly blow that can't be dodged. Himari tells Yuuki to channel all his strength into one part of his body, so he focuses on his legs, and damn, they blow up like balloons. Just then, Shuki shows up right on time to be our practice dummies. With Yuuki's massive legs, he's even faster than before, but his first attempt at the special move falls flat. After whooping all the Shuki again, Yuuki realizes he has gone overboard. His legs are shot, and he's lost all his arm strength because he poured all his energy into his legs. Himari figures he just needs to keep experimenting until he nails the technique, and she rewards him with a little pat on the head. Kyoyuka rolls up to our next training sesh, and she's blown away by how different Yuuki looks. She gives props to Himari for coming up with a dope finishing move, but wonders why she's keeping her distance and watching from afar. Kyoyuka reminds her that there's a basic essence to using her power, and tells her to make her proud as she bounces. Those words echo in Himari's mind as she jumps on Yuuki's back and spills the beans. She's gonna ride him like a boss during the exhibition match. Himari knows that Kyoyuka's ability ain't about just sitting back and coaching, it's about taking control of her slave. She grabs Yuuki's chains and orders him to channel his strength into his legs. To their surprise, Yuuki feels a surge of power flowing through him, stronger than ever before. Himari tells him to wreck the first Shuki they see and bam. He obliterates it like it's nothing. Yuuki can't even believe what he just did, but they realize they're onto a foolproof finishing move. They keep practicing on some handy dummies that pop up, and after defeating them all, Yuuki feels a million times more exhausted than usual. Himari rewards him by flashing her boobs, and miraculously all his tiredness disappears. Now cue a sick training montage that shows Yuuki leveling up like a champ. The day of the exhibition match arrives, and Tenka and the crew roll in. We see Himari taking a bath with Shosho before the match starts. Shosho asks how she's feeling, and Himari spills the beans. She's about to unleash a brand new ability that'll knock Chiho on her ass. Shosho wonders if Himari and Yuuki will go their separate ways after this match. Himari says she thinks so since Yuuki belongs to the commander, and she mentions that she is going to do her best today. Just then, a girl named Sahara from the 6th Squadron joins them in the bath, saying she's here to chill. She falls asleep in the bath, leaving the other two surprised. Afterward, Chiho ain't fooling around. Chiho can sense that Himari's got something planned, but she tries to plant doubt in her mind because she doesn't think her sister can pull it off. Himari gets a bit flustered, but then Yuuki swoops in and tells them the match is about to start. Yuuki can tell that Himari's bothered, so he reassures her, saying they trained their asses off. Himari's confidence gets a boost, and she straight up guarantees they're gonna win this thing. When everyone's ready, they all scribble their names down so this chick named Gina can work her ability. She can create a badass barrier by drawing a line on the ground and setting up a boundary. Only those with signed names can step inside, and any injuries suffered in the fight will be healed. Gina's gonna be the ref, and she's just stoked to witness the Demon Defense Force in action. Now, not everyone's buying into Peach's Grant's power being all about a person's nature and knowledge, but she does, so she's hyped to see everyone's powers in action. Gina's barrier can handle the force of 1,000 Shuki, and they're counting on her to judge the fight. Yuuki can tell Gina's a hardcore Demon Defense Force fangirl, but it also means she ain't too fond of guys. Nei ain't a fighter, so her job is to cheer on her teammates. Right out the gate, round one's between Himari and Chiho. The rules are simple, whoever taps out or gets knocked out first loses. Injuries get healed, so they're encouraged to go all out. Chiho plans to drag Himari back home once she beats her, but Himari ain't the same person she was back then. She declares she's gonna win and has Yuuki transform. Chiho ain't gonna deny a dog handler the use of her dog in battle, so she allows Yuuki to join the fight. With both sides all geared up, the match kicks off. Chiho starts by giving her sister a warning, but before she can even finish her sentence, she's left gasping for air, because Yuuki hits her with a lightning-fast attack. She's clueless about where it came from, but she gathers herself and rewinds time by 5 seconds. The match resets right from the start, but Himari can tell that Chiho's getting tired. Lucky for them, they had a plan in case that first blow didn't finish her off. Chiho gets ready to find out if their first attack was just a lucky shot and realizes that Himari hasn't even noticed that her time manipulation power has gotten stronger. Chiho points out that little sisters can never beat big sisters and unleashes her ability called Prime Time. Before the fight starts, Himari asks Sahara if her sister has prepped for today's brawl. Upon hearing this, Sahara acts all dumb and doesn't say anything. Himari ain't taking no silence for an answer, so she presses her again, saying any info Sahara can dish out will be hella helpful. But then the girl just straight up dozes off. Himari flips her lid and screams at her to wake the hell up. Finally, Sahara wakes up and explains that Yachiho didn't plan anything special, and is super confident. Shosho tells Himari that her sister not expecting anything gives her a clear advantage, but Himari takes her sister's indifference as a total diss. When they get back to fighting, Himari wastes no time and unleashes Yuuki's lightning-fast attack. Yachiho uses her golden hour power to rewind time by 5 seconds, right before the attack. Right as they enter Yachiho's attack range, she freezes time for 5 seconds. But damn, turns out they slipped out of her range, and Yachiho starts catching on that they're switching up tactics on purpose. Himari's smiling because they made her sister waste her power, so she tells Yuuki to stick to the plan. The crowd goes wild watching Yuuki zoom around faster than a freaking bullet, and it's clear that Himari's trying to confuse Yachiho by running around in circles. Yuuki can feel in his gut how badly Himari wants this win, and he reminds himself he's gotta help her crush Yachiho. He cranks up the speed, and their little cheer squad starts hyping them up. Yachiho whips out a combat-ready gun, all tweaked for this kind of fight, but our hero Yuuki is too damn fast in this form. Chiho's getting more and more ticked off, but Yuuki's stoked because she's losing her balance, just like they planned. Tank watches with a grin, seeing this fight turning out damn good. Everyone thought Yuuki was only loyal to Kyoyuka, but now it's clear he can serve a new master too. As these two are going at it, Himari is straight up blown away by how hard Yuki is fighting for her. He's going all out, way more than she expected. So Himari's like, damn, I gotta apologize for giving him such a hard time earlier, but they gotta win this fight first. Himari reminds herself that Yachiho can bust out golden hour like snap, but she gotta do some weird ass pose first. The moment they see her start that pose, they gotta decide whether to attack or bounce. And they can tell if she already used her power by how she acts. If she suddenly looks hella tired, that's proof she just rewound time. If not, they gotta avoid her like the plague. As they dodge the bullets, Himari realizes Yachiho can only use her power a few more times tops, because it drains her energy like crazy. If they can make her waste it, they got this in the bag for sure. Yachiho already knows what Himari is thinking and figured out her plan, so she decides it's finally time to use her ace in the hole. Himari thinks it's gonna be another golden hour, but she is dead wrong. Yachiho whips out prime time and freezes time for a whole 10 seconds. It covers a much bigger area, and Himari ain't got no way to escape. Now the wicked Yachiho is out to take down her sister, so she can bring her back home and make her life a living nightmare. She fires a bunch of bullets at her sister right before the 10 seconds are up. When time starts moving again, the bullets hit our boys. Nobody even saw what went down because they all thought Himari was winning. But now she's down for the count. Then Yachiho explains her prime time power. She strikes the ultimate pose and can control time for double the amount. The only downside is, it takes a few seconds longer than golden hour to kick in. Yachiho knew Himari was catching on to her other pose, so she had no other choice. Everyone watching is straight up stunned, because they had no clue Yachiho could freeze time for a whole damn 10 seconds. Himari can't believe her sister kept this ability hidden, but Yachiho's like, yo, geniuses like me only get more badass over time. Himari didn't see that coming, and that's what screwed her over. Himari had the upper hand, thanks to Yuuki's mad speed skills. But damn, Yachiho messed it all up with her killer move, unleashing her prime time ability. That's what totally flipped the script. Mei's worried about her friend, but Shosho knows the fight ain't over yet. They're hyping up Himari, telling her to show everyone what their squad is made of. But things ain't going so smoothly, because Yachiho knows Himari's learning ability inside out. Yachiho straight up explains that when Himari's learning power hooks onto an ability with a cost, she can't switch skills until she pays the price. That's why Himari can't just switch abilities in the middle of the fight. Yachiho loves to rub it in, reminding Himari of the past. She throws shade at her sister, saying she never lived up to expectations in important stuff. And this time ain't no different, because Himari's got no way to counter Yachiho's prime time ability. Yachiho straight up demands Himari to give up, and Himari starts doubting if things will always go the same way. She wonders if all her efforts are for nothing, but Yuuki drops some truth bombs, saying Yachiho's just trying to mess with their heads. He tells Himari to look at Yachiho's face and see how damn tired she is. Yachiho's clearly pissed off, and Yuuki predicts she won't be able to use her ability again. Yuuki says he'd be ashamed if his master did something as dumb as quitting when they're so damn close to victory. Himari straight up tells Yuuki that he looks hella exhausted himself, and that he's got a smart mouth for a slave. Himari's got her confidence back, and she promises to teach Yuuki a lesson once this is all done. Himari's friends cheer her on as they get back on their feet, and you can tell the fight's reaching its climax. Yachiho gets ready with her weapon and tells Himari to quit her shameful behavior. But Himari ain't falling for mind games no more, because she's got clarity now. She points out that in their squadron, staying strong and fighting to the end ain't shameful behavior at all. Yachiho realizes that breaking Himari's spirit ain't gonna make her easier to train later on, but things ain't going her way. Yuuki and Himari bust out a move they've been practicing, and Yachiho strikes her golden hour pose. Yuuki's body starts shining like crazy, and Yachiho's shocked because she actually hit his weak spot. She tries rewinding time by 5 seconds, ready to end the fight, but she's even more stunned when she sees plain ugly Yuuki right in front of her. She can't spot Himari anywhere, but time's running out on her ability, so she blasts a bunch of bullets at him. Everyone is shocked when Yachiho takes damage and they see Himari on the ground. Yachiho never thought Himari would be so desperate to win that she'd sacrifice everything, and she straight up collapsed. Everyone's speechless, but Himari strikes a victory pose. They announce Himari as the official winner, and everyone goes wild celebrating like crazy. Kyosuke explains how Himari used the flash and smoke from Yuuki's reverse transformation to blind Yachiho. But then they all go quiet when they see Yuuki messed up really badly. Kyosuke steps in and reassures them not to stress. Yuuki wakes up after getting shot, and they tell him that these injuries would usually be fatal. But since he got hurt inside Gina's barrier, they're gonna heal up like brand new. Yuuki's amazed by Gina's power as he heals up in a flash. Himari shoves him off now that he's okay, but he reminds her he just regained consciousness. They both smile because they realize they totally nailed that tough victory. Himari gives props to Yuuki for busting his butt, and she lends a hand to her hero. Then Yachiho wakes up and starts thinking about how Himari used to be. She remembers when her sister caught a nasty cold right before entrance exams because she was working her ass off. Yachiho used to think Himari was an overachiever and naive, but now she sees she was dead wrong. Yachiho confronts Himari, and poor Yuuki is clueless about what to do. Surprisingly, Yachiho admits Himari has gotten stronger and promises to treat her better. She wants Himari to come back home, but Himari's like, "No, I belong with the 7th Squadron now." Yachiho's crushed because nothing she says can bring her back. Later on, the two fighters recover from that gnarly battle, and Himari thanks Yuuki with a smooch. Meanwhile, Tank talks things through with Yachiho. Tank explains that it was Yuuki's first time fighting a human, so he probably held back his attacks subconsciously. In normal circumstances, Yuuki's first direct hit would have straight up killed Yachiho. Tank reminds Yachiho never to underestimate her opponent because she didn't finish them off after using prime time. Tenka's last words are all about Yuuki. She's straight up amazed at how he kept pushing himself non-stop, only to end up sacrificing himself in the end. Outside, we find out it's Shosho's turn to throw down, but Himari and Yuuki ain't back yet. Shosho's all hyped to show off her skills to Yuuki, so she goes to find them. Inside the dorm, Himari tells Yuuki that he's the main reason she managed to take down her sister and plants another smooch on him. Himari says sorry for being a jerk and admits that maybe boys ain't all that bad. But she makes it clear that those kisses are just part of the deal, like no biggie. Shosho's mind is blown when she hears this for the first time. Outside, Yachiho apologizes for losing her match. Her screw-up means Sahara has to win it for them, but lazy Sahara's knocked out. Sahara's all confident she's gonna win, but we peep some uninvited guests lurking nearby. We got round 2 in this crazy showdown between Shosho and Sahara, both badass fighters who know their hand-to-hand combat like nobody's business. Shosho's got her eyes on Yuuki, hoping to impress him with her sick skills and earn some sweet praise. On the other side, Yachiho, who lost the previous round, is testing her skills as a cheerleader, and Sahara promises to make her friends proud. But before they bust out their crazy powers, these two fighters decide to throw down with some hardcore hand-to-hand action. Shosho wastes no time and slams Sahara right down to the ground, but damn, Sahara ain't giving up that easily. She manages to suplex Shosho back like a boss. Shosho's just getting started, while Sahara's already huffing and puffing, declaring it's time to unleash their abilities. Sahara's crew is curious about how many abilities she's gonna use, and they're placing bets on 3. Kyosuke thinks about how both these fighters rely on their physical attacks, while Yachiho predicts Sahara's gonna end this match real quick. And then shit gets real. Shosho transforms into a freaking giant, while Sahara busts out her ability called Mad Sheep. She shouts out 3 and dodges an attack, showing off that paper beats rock by smacking Shosho right across her big old face. Sahara's Mad Sheep ability lets her boost her strength for a specific amount of time she sets in advance. The shorter the time, the stronger she gets. But hold up, her ability needs a mandatory cooldown of 3 minutes. That's the deal. Sahara lands some sick blows with the power of sheep, pointing out how Shosho's huge size makes her an easy target. She delivers a devastating blow, and Shosho starts worrying about letting Yuuki down. But hold up, Sahara ain't done yet. She wants Shosho to throw in the towel, but our girl Shosho ain't backing down. She's just getting warmed up. Sahara respects that determination in Shosho, and Shosho can't even fully explain why she's feeling so damn driven. Flashbacks reveal that Shosho never really cared about romance with some guy. She always wanted something more exciting, so she joined the Demon Defense Force in Mato, knowing she'd never be bored that way. Her friends used to tell her she'd understand the value of a relationship someday, but now she wants Yuuki to witness her dealing serious damage to Sahara. Sahara tries to suggest that Shosho should shrink down for better mobility, but that's just a snooze fest for our thrill-seeking Shosho. She prefers going big or going home, so she flips the script and grows even larger. Nobody saw that coming, and Shosho slams her gigantic body right onto Sahara, but Sahara ain't one to be underestimated. She's holding her own. Shosho grabs her and points out that she was too damn big for Sahara to dodge this time. Shosho smashes her ruthlessly into the ground and celebrates her victory. Gina starts a countdown, but damn, everyone's shocked when they see that Sahara's still in the game, and she's freaking powering up now. Yachiho explains that if Sahara loses consciousness while her ability is still active, her killer instincts take over. She'll attack anyone in her path, enemies and allies alike. It's the source of her crazy power. She can sleep anywhere, anytime, and that's her hidden strength. Unconscious as she is, Sahara straight up destroys Shosho, and now the countdown's on for her. Unfortunately, Shosho can't recover from that devastating attack, and Sahara is declared the winner. Gina patches her up, and Shosho apologizes for losing. Kayouka tries to lift her spirits, saying they can work on getting better later. Shosho leaves to change clothes, but as she walks away, she starts crying, feeling like a damn fool in front of Yuuki. Yuuki overhears Shosho, and he steps up to offer her a drink since he's in charge of the dorm. Shosho's like, "No, I'd rather you erase my memory of that sorry-ass loss." But damn, Yuuki ain't got that kind of power. He understands it's tough to lose, but he doesn't think the fight was straight up pitiful. He wishes he could have seen more of her sick wrestling moves, which makes Shosho feel a lot better. Shosho gets Yuuki to close his eyes, and then she hits him with a surprise kiss. Yuuki's all confused. What the hell was that for? So Shosho breaks it down. She wanted to follow up the shock of losing with an even bigger shock. But deep down, she knows she can't spill her true feelings until she gets them to like her more. Meanwhile, Nei tells Kayouka that she ain't sensing no weird shit nearby. But hold up, that changes real quick, because Nei's stunned to see someone looking right at her. This mysterious meat got some kind of connection with Nei and tells her to say what's up to the others. She drops a less than friendly message, saying a real battle's about to go down. Shit's getting real. Just as Nei was about to spill the beans, a whole bunch of Shuki pop up from the damn ground. Gina's all like, "Don't worry, my barrier's impenetrable." But damn, everyone is surprised when another mysterious pig rolls up. This pig's name is Rayan, some kinda humanoid if you ask me. Rayan launches a crazy ass attack and shocks the hell out of everyone when he starts breaking through Gina's barrier. The exhibition match gets called off on the spot, and Kayouka sends Tenka and the non-combatants back to the dorm. Rayan's eager to wipe them all out, so Kayouka gets the fighters ready for battle. She tells them to destroy all those Shuki and starts by sending one big demon straight back to hell. Shosho and Yuuki head back outside, and Shosho wastes no time jumping into the fight. She's feeling way better now, but Sahara jumps in to protect her. These two decide to team up and kick some serious ass. Rayan figures out they ain't his main targets, and Himari ain't either. But damn, he finds Himari pretty annoying though, so he hits her with a powerful attack. Yachiho swoops in just in time to save her, and the sisters realize Rayan's gonna be one dangerous mofo. They give each other a signal because they have a plan for cooking. Himari takes off running, and Rayan gives Yachiho props for saving her. But Yachiho vows to make him pay for trying to hurt her sister. Himari finds Kayouka and Yuuki, and surprised, she asks if she can mount Yuuki with her. Yuuki's never had two peeps mount him before, but they all decide to give it a shot. Yuuki kisses Himari's hand, and Kayouka predicts that with two masters, Yuuki's gonna unlock a whole new level of power. Yuuki straight up bursts with power and goes through a mind-blowing transformation. This dude's a whole different demon now, and he can feel that raw energy coursing through his body. It's time to show off what his new form can do, and Yuuki knows for damn sure he can replicate the power that was used on his ass earlier. He channels his energy and unleashes an insanely powerful blast. The girls can't believe the sheer force of having two masters, but they're confident as hell that they can beat the entire swarm of Shuki now. Himari's all worried about her sister, but Kayouka is straight up assures her that Yachiho's gonna be fine because they got Tenka holding it down. Over by Nei, she lets Tenka know there are two more of them humanoid peeps showing up. Tenka heads back to the battlefield, ain't gonna let the 7th Squadron outshine him. Gina's complaining about not being able to see the damn fight, but she gotta deal with it because the dorm's got the strongest barrier. It's like torture for her. But hold up, Nei hooks her up by letting her link up to her mind, so she can peep the fight going down. Kyoyuka is straight up wrecking demons left and right, and Gina's cheering everyone on. But these Shuki can't be taken down with regular weapons. The only way to counter them is with the abilities granted by them peaches and using weapons specially made to be infused with that peach power. Except for Kyoyuka though. She trained her ass on the holy mountain to master her unique fighting style that directly destroys these creatures. Through pure dedication and training, she gained the skills to take down Shuki without relying on her peach ability. That's why she's a commander now, and she's at the top of her game right now. Meanwhile, Yachiho's using her time manipulation ability, but only to dodge Reian's attacks. She's hella shocked to see the insane power these humanoids have, and eventually, she falls victim to one of his attacks. Reian points out that Yachiho can't do her time manipulation pose without her arm, but he's dead wrong because Yachiho can pose no matter the damn situation. She rewinds time by 5 seconds, back when she still had both arms and dodges that attack like a boss. But damn, she's still in pretty rough shape, and Reian's getting ready to unleash some terrifying attack to finish her off. Shit's getting real. Shit's getting mad intense as Yachiho's about to bite the dust, but out of nowhere, Tenka pops up and breaks the whole damn tension. Reian's all like, what the hell, how'd she just appear like that? And she tells Yachiho she'll take over from here. Reian ain't feeling Tenka's casual vibe and reminds her that his whole army's closing in on her. But Tenka finds that shit funny. The dust clears, and she reveals that she already took care of any Shuki Trina mess with their fight. Reian's stunned because he's now surrounded by his own destroyed army. Tenka points out that there should still be 2 officer-level humanoids around, but she's like, we'll deal with that later. Right now, she's gonna handle Reian's ass. Reian gives props to Tenka's power, but he's still confident because he's looking forward to this fight. It's about to go down, my peeps. The freaking brawl is going down, but damn, there's like a never-ending swarm of Shuki. Kyoyuka is showing who's boss as the commander, taking charge like a boss. Shosho and Sahara are taking care of some Shuki too, and Yachiho is keeping an eye on Tenka, who's getting ready to throw down with Reian. Reian is pissed because he's only faced 2 opponents so far, making it clear he's gunning for the big shots. He declares he'll finish this shit in a flash and unleashes a wicked lightning attack. That massive beam does some serious damage, and once again, he's disappointed, because it's too damn easy to take down one of their leaders. But then, out of nowhere, Tenka appears behind him and kicks him right in the head. This dude actually manages to dodge the attack and reveals that her efforts are useless. Even if she landed a hit, his skin is tough as steel, and he wouldn't feel a damn thing. He goes on blabbering about how he's invincible. So he tries to attack again, but Tenka dodges his moves using some kind of freaking portal. Then she uses one of those portals to strike back, and Reian is dumbfounded when he sees that she actually manages to damage his arm. Gina is in awe of her leader's skills and points out how both commanders came up with a plan to wipe out the enemy army in an instant. Reian is sick and tired of this lame-ass fight and starts powering up because he's finally decided to get serious. He sends his power shooting into the sky and unleashes an attack. He's damn sure she won't be able to dodge. Yuuki is scared shitless, thinking she's done for, but Kyoyuka knows better and tells him to just watch. Reian triumphantly declares his victory, but he's too damn blind to see that Tenka is still kicking. She uses a portal to land a punch, and Reian is completely fucking confused when she also seems to teleport his sorry ass with just one touch. Now Reian is falling through the air like a dumbass, and Gina is celebrating her leader's godlike powers. Tenka can manipulate the space around her, and it's called Maitori or some shit. Tenka uses her ability to open another portal and makes Reian disappear. She declares that his impenetrable defense doesn't mean shit when she can tear the fabric of space apart. Damn, Yuuki is straight up amazed at how those 2 leaders straight up annihilated an entire army. And Himari is like, yo, that's how all commanders roll. They're on a whole another level. And to top it off, Kyoyuka wants to be in charge of all the commanders like damn, that's one ambitious goal. Yuuki is skeptical as hell, but then Kyoyuka comes in all confident, saying she's gonna be the supreme commander no matter what. She tells the other girls to handle the rest of the Shuki, and Yuuki realizes he can't just stand there, staring at Kyoyuka's badassary. He reminds himself that he came to Mato to be a freaking hero and declares that he's joining the fray. Later on, the crew is chatting about how the hell they managed to win that battle. The problem is, according to Nei's report, some other enemy generals were lurking around, so our crew searched high and low, but they couldn't find a single damn trace of these sneaky bastards. Nei apologizes for detecting them too late, but they figure those generals must have had some cloaking shit going on. They tell Nei not to sweat it because her warning saved their asses from getting caught off guard by those attackers. Tenka playfully calls Yuuki a little slave and gives him props for stealing the show on the battlefield. Even Gina is digging him now because she finally realizes that boys can actually have some talent too. She's become his biggest fan and even wants his autograph. Himari then goes up to her sister and thanks her for coming to her rescue. Yachiho keeps her cool and straight up explains that letting the enemy take down Himari would bring shame to their family. She keeps up her act and says that's the only reason she saved her ass. She offers to train Himari if she comes back home with her, but Himari reminds her that the 7th Squadron is her home. The two commanders decide to call it a draw, but they're both bummed because they were looking forward to throwing down in a one-on-one battle. The two squads go their separate ways, but Tenka leaves with a mysterious smile. Now it's time to kick back and relax, and Yuuki gets rewarded for taking out a shit ton of shuki. Later that night, Nei draws a picture of what those hidden enemy generals looked like. The drawing is damn impressive, and it helps them realize that these generals ain't like the humanoid ones they faced before. Yuuki thinks back to the opponent they're talking about and can't help but notice she looks like his sister. He wonders if she's with another group or if there's some other reason she ain't rolling with these enemies. Finally, our hero gets some much needed shut-eye, but Tenka's been using her portals for more than just fighting, as she appears to be watching over Yuuki. The next day, Yuuki, Kaioyuka, and Himari head to the 6th Squadron's dorm. Tenka greets them because the two commanders got some important shit to discuss. Kaioyuka tells Himari to mingle with the peeps from the other squadron, and Tenka encourages her to really scope out the scene. As for our main man Yuuki, he's all confident in his role as the squad's caretaker and knows his job is to lend a helping hand however he can. It works out perfectly because some of Tenka's crew ain't around at the moment, including their caretaker. Yuuki steps up and declares that he's got their backs, swearing to do his damn best. Yuuki is stoked because he gets to do what he loves, and he starts by doing some cleaning. Unfortunately, the whole dorm is already pretty damn clean, so he's kinda bummed out after getting all pumped up. But hey, he lucks out and finds one stubborn stain. He does some serious analysis on that bad boy and figures out the perfect cleaner to tackle it. Next on the list is laundry, but he's gotta calm himself down because he ain't quite used to it yet. Back at home, Shosho wonders what the hell Yuuki is up to, but she tells herself she'll spill her feelings when he's feeling her more. She decides to use this time to better herself and settles on cleaning up the other dorm. Yuuki gets ready to deliver Yachiho her fresh-ass uniform, but he's low-key scared of what she might say when she sees him. He's relieved when he realizes she ain't around, so he decides to just leave the uniform in her room. Turns out that was a big-ass mistake because shit gets weird when he opens the door and finds Yachiho's room plastered with pics of Himari. Yachiho's love for her sister is clear as day, but it's a bit too much for our boy Yuuki, so he bounces the hell out of there. Yuuki then stumbles upon Sahara knocked the fuck out in some weird-ass position, but somehow ends up in an awkward position. Sahara apologizes afterward, and they come across a super still Himari. They wonder what the hell is up with her, and she explains that she's just waiting to have a chat with her sister. Yachiho is busy getting swole and lifting heavy-ass weights, and Himari wonders if she's always on this grind. Turns out she does. Sahara spills the beans that Yachiho has been training like a beast long before the exhibition match was even a thing. Himari is straight up amazed that her sister is pushing herself even harder than before, and Sahara wonders if Himari looks up to her big sis. Himari points out that her personality might suck, but she gotta admit that Yachiho's killing it in academics and athletics. Himari always thought she could learn a thing or two from her sister. Sahara explains that she believes in this theory that someone's superpowers are tied to their knowledge and nature. In Himari's case, her desire to learn from Yachiho might be what gave her the ability to learn and use other people's powers. Yachiho, her time-controlling powers might come from her wanting to spend more time with her sis. It makes a lot more sense than Himari wants to admit, and Sahara encourages her to talk to her sister more often. Yuuki agrees, so Himari decides to go have a chat with her. Yachiho keeps up her tough act, but it's clear they're getting along better than before. Sahara thinks showing Himari Yachiho's room would be the quickest way to patch things up, but Yuuki thinks it's best to keep that room a secret. Nearby, Kaioyuka suggests they actively search for those humanoid peeps. They ain't been making any moves lately, so Kaioyuka thinks they should start investigating near the crater where they first popped up. Kyoyuka mentions that Tenka supposedly took out one of the confirmed humanoids, but she ain't so sure about that shit. Over in another spot, turns out Rayan ain't actually dead. The dude made a full recovery, and his humanoid crew points out how damn close he was to kicking the bucket. Then we get a glimpse of what went down right before Rayan got sucked into that portal, but Shoku swooped in and saved his ass at the last damn second. Delusional as ever, Rayan is all convinced he could have kept fighting even after that, but Shoku sets him straight. She reminds him that the battle was lost when he let those fools destroy his army. Shoku takes a second to recap the events. First, she went up against the 3rd Squadron to check out what their enemies were capable of. Shit was a cakewalk for her, but the leader of the 3rd Squadron wasn't even there. That's why their recent attack was all about experiencing the power of a commander. And let me tell you, those commanders blew her freaking mind. Rayan wanted to go all out and attack the Demon Defense Force, but the commanders showed just how incapable they were. Rayan still thinks they can pull off a win, but the other humanoid agrees with Shoku. So they're going with Shoku's plan. And her plan is simple. They're gonna strike when they gather all 8 of their crew and operate in the shadows until then. Rayan hates being called people, but Shoku can't help but be intrigued by them. Humans are hella entertaining to her, and they're way more complex than she ever thought. Kyoyuka's meeting with Tenka comes to an end, but Tenka's got one more thing on her mind. It's about personnel, and Tenka shocks the hell out of Kyoyuka when she asks to have the little slave. Kyoyuka is straight up shocked when Tenka drops the bomb that she wants Yuuki. And get this, she explains it's because her personal life is hella boring. She needs a pet to help her unwind after a long day at work. Kyoyuka ain't feeling it, but Tenka and Trina make her an offer she can't turn down. She says if Kyoyuka hands over the little slave, she gonna endorse her in the next Supreme Commander election. Now that's a big ass deal, but Kyoyuka still ain't having it. She declares she gonna become Supreme Commander on her terms, not by using her subordinates as leverage. Their meeting wraps up, but then Tenka wanna know if she can date Yuuki in her free time. Later on, Kyoyuka spills the beans to Yuuki about everything. Dude is busy taking care of the 7th Squadron, but Kyoyuka admits she can't control what he does in his spare time. Yuuki starts thinking about all his responsibilities and just now realizes he ain't got much free time at all. When night rolls around, he goes to rest and reflects on how he is supposed to be a hero, not some damn pet. And then, out of nowhere, Tenka shows up and tells him to keep his mouth shut. She confesses she has a crush on him and wants Yuuki to be her man. Yuuki was straight up stunned because he thought she just wanted him as a pet, but she actually wanted a real relationship with him. Tenka was won over by his courage and his housekeeping skills. She shows off her abilities, but Yuuki tells her he needs time to decide if he is down for a relationship or not. But then she straight up kisses him, and the girl sticks around and plays with the poor boy for a while. And just when things get cozy, Shosho busts in, wanting to play video games with him, but she is straight up shocked by what she sees. The girls all link up and scold Tenka for sneaking into the dorm. Kyoyuka agrees to back off and let them live their lives, but she ain't cool with Tenka abusing her power to pounce on Yuuki. Their meeting ends, so Tenka says her goodbyes to Yuuki and heads home. The dude was exhausted, so he told him to get some rest because they had early morning training the next day. And when that next morning rolls around, Kyoyuka reveals they're gonna have to face them humanoids once again. To prepare, she wanna practice lending out her slave ability. That way, the others can ride Yuuki in slave form. It's pretty damn clear by now that Yuuki's attributes change depending on who riding him. The more transformations he can pull off, the more weapons they're gonna have in their arsenal. Nei be the first to hop on his back and grab them chains. Nei gives them chains a good yank, and Yuuki starts transforming. Dude achieves a whole new form, but he can't really put it into words right now. Yuuki thinks it's cool if he gives it a test run, so Nei holds on tight and gets ready. Yuuki starts throwing some shadow punches and instantly realizes he doesn't feel as strong as the other transformations. Plus, he ain't moving as fast as his whirlwind form. But damn, his senses be hella sharp. His eyesight and hearing are on another level. Yuuki tries channeling his energy into his eyes and damn, he got X-ray vision. Dude apologizes for peeping things he ain't supposed to, and they all figure out what's going on. Kyoyuka is amazed by his power and realizes this ability can help them sniff out hidden shuki, but it comes with a price. Unlike when Himari borrows Yuuki with her learning ability, lending him out directly takes a lot of strength. Yuuki transforms back to normal, and Nei thanks him with a kiss on the cheek as a reward. Nei apologizes for being so bold, but this makes Kyoyuka realize something. It's the borrower's responsibility to give Yuuki his reward, not the lender's. Kyoyuka apologizes to Nei because she assumed she'd be the one rewarding him when she borrows her ability. Shosho gets an idea and excitedly declares it's her turn to transform Yuuki. Kyoyuka wants Shosho to be sure about her decision because one day she might have to use it in battle. If the fighting gets intense, her reward might end up being way more extreme than what Nei got. Shosho actually likes this idea, but plays it off by saying their main focus is taking down Shuki. Shosho jumps on his back and grabs the chains. Yuuki transforms once again, and he can instantly tell this transformation is way stronger than the others. But damn, he's way bulkier and slower too. Kyoyuka agrees that he's hella powerful, but she doesn't think it's worth lending her ability for such a basic upgrade. Shosho doesn't want her jumping to conclusions and points out there's a good chance if she goes into the giant mode, Yuuki gonna grow with her. Shosho gives it a shot, but damn, she ends up squishing poor little Yuuki, because he can't keep up with her growth. Shosho is even more disappointed when her reward turns out to be just bandaging him up. That transformation was straight up weak, so Kyoyuka decides they ain't using it in battle no time soon. Yuuki worried about Kyoyuka using too much power, but she says she gonna have to get used to it. Yuuki's transformation with Nei seems like it could be useful, so they gonna focus on developing that more. Nei gotta get ready for school, so she dips and Yuuki wonders why she joined the Demon Defense Force. Nei is ready to head to school, so Yuuki offers to walk her there. Kyoyuka is cool with it because Nei is his superior and she wants him to get to know her better. The two of them step through a portal, and Nei is surprised to hear Yuuki want to know why she joined. Doing school while being part of the Demon Defense Force is a whole lot of responsibility, but Nei thinks it's worth it. She spills that it gives her the best shot at finding her parents. Nei explains that one day her parents straight up vanished, and all signs point to it being a mod mishap. There are rumors about people getting phone calls or catching glimpses of folks who disappeared during Mado's mishaps. Yuuki heard these rumors and now realizes Nei joined the force hoping to find her parents. Nei believes her feelings manifested as her ability after eating a peach since it helps her find stuff. Yuuki reassures her that her parents are somewhere out there, just like his sister. Back in Mado, Tenka gets a message from the Supreme Commander. Even if they find the humanoid Shuki, they ain't supposed to mess with them until the Supreme Commander gives the green light. She wants to chat with them and see how smart they are. If things go well, they might be able to solve the Shuki problem and prevent mod mishaps. Kyoyuka ain't feel the idea at all and points out that these humanoids are the type to attack first and ask questions later. She doubts they just want to have a friendly convo, and she thinks the commander is acting naive. Tenka admits it'll probably end up in a battle anyway, and she promises her squadron gonna cooperate with Kyoyuka no matter what. Yuuki gets back home and damn, he's shocked to see Tenka there. Tenka gives him a little tease for being all nervous, but right then alarms start blaring. Himari and Shosho are out on patrol, and they report that mad gateways are popping up everywhere. Kyoyuka tells Yuuki they gotta help the girls, and Tenka offers to take them. Tenka's teleportation ability whisks them away instantly, but Kyoyuka tells her to fall back because this falls under their jurisdiction. Yuuki gets ready to transform, but he can tell Kyoyuka ain't in a good mood. Kyoyuka takes back what she said about not interfering with his personal life and straight up forbids him from fawning over another squad's commander. Yuuki's hella shocked and she declares he's her slave and hers only. The two jump into battle and Kyoyuka busts out a technique she never used before. Shosho is watching in awe, but then Himari gets attacked. Shosho barely manages to help her, but they see a new type of Shuki show up. Yuuki goes at it, but damn, it heals right away, so they gotta try something stronger. They hit it with a move called the Mighty Blade Cross, and it slices that new Shuki in half. Nearby, we peep at Shoku watching them, and she is disappointed her little experiment failed. She just messing with them and points out that humans seem to be into mixing and modding stuff too. Her humanoid buddy couldn't understand what was going on in her head, but Shoku wondered what she should try next. The battle's over, and Yuuki gives props to Kyoyuka for getting him all pumped up. Tenka heads back home and declares her life gonna be far from boring now that Yuuki is part of it. Later on, Yuuki and Kyoyuka get to work, straight up wiping out a bunch of Shuki. They bust out this sick new chain combo attack, and the fight's over just like that. Out of nowhere, another Shuki pops up, but Yuuki ain't messing around. He takes it out real quick. Yuuki's feeling on top of the world when Kyoyuka gives him props for a job well done. He's thinking how this is gonna make him even stronger because all he wants is to protect her. His mind keeps on that track, and it's like a reward for him, just carrying Kyoyuka. But man, Kyoyuka never seems to get what Yuuki wants. Then they go ahead and share a kiss. The girls all chat about Yuuki like he's some kind of pet robot. He's all about following orders and finding the most efficient way to get stuff done by himself. Tenka's there too, but the others tell her to bounce already. She ain't gotta head back to the dorm just yet, but Yuuki can see Kyoyuka's getting ticked off when Tenka wonders how he got so damn good. Yuuki breaks it down, saying it was actually his sister who taught him a bunch of stuff back in the day. The others can see how much he looks up to his sis and wanna know what she's like. Yuuki thinks back to when he was a little kid and got hassled by a bully. This bully's big bro was an even bigger jerk, but Yuuki's sister came through to save the day. The bully turned his attention to her, but it didn't go down like he expected. Yuuki's sister got all worried when she heard a kid choking, but turns out it was Yuuki busting out his MMA moves on the bully. He shouted out that she taught him how to wrestle and that he ain't no wimp. She couldn't have been prouder and gave him an A+. All the girls are amazed at what an awesome big sister she is, and Kyoyuka gives Yuuki the rest of the day off. Tenka heads home, and Yuuki dips to take a bath. But just then, Nei senses someone nearby in deep trouble, and they all jump into action, ready to save the day. A look outside reveals that someone is running for their damn life. But don't worry, the girls roll up and save the day real quick. Himari tells the person it's all good now, but she gets straight up shocked when she sees who it is and gets attacked. This chick named Coco introduces herself and starts talking about how it's time for some serious pain. Shosho realizes Coco's one of the humanoids, and Himari spills the beans that she only survived because she blocked the attack with a shield. Coco's kinda impressed, but she ain't planning on giving them a break. She brings in a bunch of those shuki things. Himari begs Coco to chill, but Coco's just freaked out that Himari knows her name. She wonders if it's because of Himari's peach superpower, but Shosho points out that Coco straight up announced her name. Himari tries explaining that they want to negotiate with the humanoids, but Coco couldn't care less. She just wants to crush them. Back at the dorm, Yuuki peeps that he's all cut up and bruised, but it ain't all bad because he notices his muscles are coming in nice and strong. He pumps himself up, telling himself to keep grinding and getting them gains. But then Kyoyuka walks in and tells him to gear up for battle. Meanwhile, back at the fight, Himari figures out that her bullets can't pierce one of the monsters. Coco explains it's got some extra tough armor, but then Coco gets shaken when Himari reveals that she can adapt too. This new big-ass weapon of hers shoots out this powerful beam, wrecking everything in its path. Himari has to cancel her ability to dodge Coco's counterattack, and Coco straight up says she's just having fun. Shosho takes care of a few small potatoes, but one shuki proves to be a real pain, and then another humanoid monster shows up and goes after Shosho. Kyoyuka and Yuuki rush over to their crew, but this humanoid they've seen before blocks their path. She takes a bite out of a peach, and Yuuki's gotta dodge her attack. This chick straight up tells Yuuki to freeze, and shockingly, he actually listens to her. Next thing you know, Yuuki's captured, and Kyoyuka's surrounded. Kyoyuka manages to take out the shuki, but she sees that the enemy bounced with Yuuki. Kyoyuka lets the others know what went down and explains that Yuuki was their target from the get-go. Everyone's freaking out about him, but Kyoyuka points out that they both got messed up in the fight. She decides they gotta regroup at the dorm and figure out what to do next. Let me take you back for a second. Yuuki's sister straight up vanished, and now we are back in the present. Yuuki wakes up to some weird noise, and he's trapped by this humanoid. Ardo rolls in and gets all pissed off right away. She thinks the other humanoids stripped Yuuki down, but they explain that's just how he looks after he transforms back into a human. Turns out Coco's got some healing powers, and Yuuki sees that all his wounds and scars are gone. Ardo's whole vibe changes really quickly, and Yuuki's more convinced than ever that she's his sister. They hug it out, both stoked to see each other, and Yuuki can't believe she's been alive this whole time. They have a sweet moment, but Yuuki's wondering how she turned into a humanoid. Ardo figures it's easier to show him where they at and what they are. They step outside, and Ardo reveals this secret village. There ain't any peach trees around, so the Demon Defense Force doesn't even know about this place. Other peeps used to be humans like Ardo, and she says about 20 folks call this spot home. Coco and Neon introduce themselves, and Yuuki wonders if all of them shuki used to be humans too. But no, turns out the shuki are straight up monsters, and the humanoids are on some special level. It was an accident that made the humanoids in the first place, but their souls are still human. Ardo says Yuuki can live with her in this village and promises he won't be treated like some slave anymore. Yuuki tries explaining that they ain't gotta hide because they are still human and all. He's sure he can protect them and begs them to talk to the Demon Defense Force. But then all the humanoids get mad as hell, and Coco says the Demon Defense Force is their damn enemy. Ardo straight up points out that they had Yuuki enslaved and they can't be allies because of their messed up hierarchy. Yuuki's mind is blown by how much their attitude shifted, and he's wondering what the hell went down. Back at the dorm, Shosho's all wrapped up in bandages, but she can't help but worry about Yuuki. Nei ain't been able to find him, and she's even reaching out to the other crews for help. She decides to expand her search area, but Shosho's just wondering what the hell Kayouka's up to because she's been locked up in her room ever since they got back. Himari figures it's because she's following orders from the big boss not to mess with the humanoids. Himari tells Shosho that the humans' whole deal was to capture Yuuki. They had some specific plan in mind, so he should be safe. Himari assumes Kayouka's got a plan of her own, but turns out that ain't the case because Kayouka's actually super pissed. She's thinking about how Yuuki straight up followed someone else's orders during the fight, and she swears she'll make him pay when he comes back. Just then, she senses something, and we back to Yuuki. The humanoids are still really upset, so Yuuki switches gears and asks Ardo how she knew he was in Mato. She says she can sense his presence because she's his big sis. Our boy Yuuki's hungry as hell, so Ardo dips to get him some grub. The humanoids agree with him that working with Ardo can be hella stressful, but they explain that everybody loves her. Coco starts munching on a mushroom, so the starving Yuuki takes a whiff. Bad move though, because he starts tripping balls. Yuuki mistakes one of the humanoids for food, and Ardo comes back to find her bro in a sticky situation. Back at the dorm, Kayouka finally steps out of her room. She spills that her body started moving on its own, which means Yuuki's transformation must have ended. Everybody gets hyped because they realize what this means. Kayouka gotta give him props for transforming, so she's like a freaking Yuuki detection radar. Back at the secret village, Yuuki's feeling better after chowing down. Ardo says his being there brings back old memories, and it's just starting to sink in for her. Yuuki peeps at the fake peach she's holding and notices she never ate one back in the real world. She explains it ain't an easy choice when you got other responsibilities, and some peeps choose not to eat them. Yuuki thought her powers came from those peaches, and Ardo spills there's actually a connection. Turns out the peaches are what made them look the way they do now. Back at the dorm, the girls get ready to bounce. Nei gotta stay behind, but the other squad babes show up to lend a hand. They all head out, and Kayouka says their mission to rescue Yuuki is kicking off right now. Yuuki's all hyped to hear Ardo's story, but Neon rolls up and decides it's better to spill her own first. She has some painful memories, but she thinks Yuuki gotta know the truth. So Neon used to be a model in the real world, but shit went south when she got caught up in a messed up Mato incident. She always held off on eating a peach because she believed it would give her some rejuvenation power if she waited till she was older. But on the day of the Mato incident, she had no choice. To avoid getting deleted by some Shuki, Neon ate that peach. But damn, the peach's power went all haywire and she straight up passed out. When she woke up, she was in some research facility dedicated to studying Shuki. Neon couldn't figure out why the hell she ended up in a place like that, but she got scared as hell when she realized she was freaking mutating. They said it was because of the Mato miasma, but they needed more research to be sure, and that made Neon mad valuable to their research, so they asked her to participate in some damn experiments. Neon said hell no and demanded they cure her, but they told her their research would lead to a cure too, so she had no choice but to let them experiment on her. They poked and prodded her like she was some damn lab rat, but it wasn't gonna last forever because one day she discovered she could phase through objects. Yuuki's mind is blown when Neon sticks her arms straight through Coco. Neon explains she just waited for the right moment and escaped the facility with her crew. Turns out the others have similar stories, and they all ended up in that messed up place. Ardo's story is a bit different. She was all alone when she got transformed, and that shit was straight up excruciating. She had to fight with all her might to hold on to her human mind for years. Ardo wants Yuuki to understand why she had to rescue him in such a forceful way. It's because Mato has a really dark side. Yuuki thinks they should spill the beans to people, but Ardo explains it's a lost cause. The Bureau claims Mato's existence is for the country's good, and if they try to speak up, they'll just get silenced, no doubt. Coco says that's exactly why they gotta be aggressive. They gotta rescue anyone going through the same shit they went through, and they gotta take down the Bureau. That's when the Shuki named Kuma and Akira join the crew, but Yuuki's mind is blown by the unicorn. Turns out its real name is Kidomaru, and these three Shuki have some insane strength. Taming them wasn't an easy task, but damn, it was worth the trouble. They got all their plans set, and it's time to attack the Bureau. Yuuki thinks they should tell the Demon Defense Force the truth, but Ardo points out the Supreme Commander probably already knows every damn thing. Yuuki trusts his squadron to help them out, but Ardo says they can handle it on their own. Right then, Ardo senses something. She tells the crew to stick to the plan and lets Yuuki know it's time for a little warm-up session. Kyoyuka and the others roll up nearby, and Kyoyuka's body is drawn towards a hill. They figure out there's a hidden entrance, and Kyoyuka explains the ones who snatched Yuuki are inside. They get ready to step in, but Tenka's on some serious business because she's never felt this way before. She explains she knows what it feels like to have her boyfriend snatched away. The plan is to save Yuuki first and foremost, and Kyoyuka wants them to avoid throwing hands if possible. If the humanoids try to mess up, they gotta follow the Supreme Commander's orders and try to talk it out. Right then, a gang of Shuki jumps them, but Yachiho bends time and wipes them out with ease. Coco shocks everyone when she straight up blasts the cave open, but Sahara blocks the attack. Shosho joins in to battle the beast, giving the rest a chance to move forward. They're confident they can handle Coco, but Coco ain't one to be taken lightly. Inside, the other girls are bugging when they see the Shuki with weapons. The sisters decide to take it on and let the captains keep moving. Tenka teleports away with Kyoyuka, and the sisters declare they'll handle the Shuki before the captains come back. The captains show up in front of Yuuki, and Tenka blows Ardo's mind when she snatches Yuuki away in an instant. The captains ain't playing around because their mission's done, and they bounce with Yuuki. But Ardo ain't feeling defeated. She's actually glad she got to learn how Tenka's ability works. The captains take Yuuki to safety, but Kyoyuka explains she gotta handle something first. She gotta reward Yuuki like always, or she won't even be able to move. Kyoyuka gives him his reward, but Yuuki's mind is blown when Tenka does the same. Right then, Ardo finds them and straight up goes on the attack, but Yuuki steps in to stop her. He spills the beans that Ardo's actually his big sister, but Ardo wants him to back off. Yuuki ain't having none of that and demands that she listen up. Ardo finally agrees to listen, and damn, the girls are shocked to see that the humanoid is actually paying attention to him. Even the captains agree to listen, so Yuuki breaks it all down. Back home, Mei's got a bomb meal ready for everyone, and she's determined to make it perfect for when the girls bring Yuuki back. Meanwhile, Shosho and Sahara are getting their asses handed to them. Coco points out they've been running away, but the girls beg her to just talk it out. Coco ain't having it though, and says it's a fight to the death. The girls realize they ain't getting anywhere, so they decide to unleash their abilities. Coco's stoked to see they're getting serious and declares it's time to find out who's the strongest. As they fight, we peep at another humanoid watching them. The sisters are caught up in their own battles too, but damn, Yachiho's got some serious power. Neon's watching and wonders how Yachiho's taking down so many Shuki without even moving much. Yachiho ain't modest about it though, and tells Himari to straight up disobey her orders. Himari's down to roll, so Yachiho tells her to straight up blast those Shuki. Neon knows it's risky to attack without knowing their abilities, but she's got a plan in mind. Meanwhile, Yuuki finished spilling all the details. Tenka knew the Bureau was up to some shady experiments, but she had no clue they were doing some messed up inhumane shit behind the scenes. Kyoyuka assures Ardo they'll tear the Bureau down, but Ardo ain't about to trust two cogs in a machine like them. She's planning to use Yuuki and take out anyone who gets in her way. Kyoyuka's worried innocent folks might get hurt, but Ardo reminds her they're victims too. Yuuki begs Ardo to trust Kyoyuka, but Ardo calls out that she treats him like a damn slave. Yuuki explains it's actually his choice because right now, it's his best shot at being a hero. Ardo's still determined to help her friends, so Kyoyuka declares they gotta do whatever it takes to stop her. Yuuki tries to calm everyone down, but talking time's over. Ardo declares the battle's about to kick off, so she keeps him out of harm's way by restraining him. It's crystal clear Ayaba's really his sister, so Kyoyuka realizes he can't fight her, and they decide to leave him tied up. Ardo calls forth the unicorn, and Tenka leaves it to Kyoyuka. Tenka steps up against Ardo and announces she's Yuuki's girl. Ardo gets straight up enraged, and Yuuki realizes there ain't nothing he can do to stop them. The girls outside are getting straight up pushed back by Coco, but Sahara thinks she can use her aggression against her. She tries to land a punch, but damn, she's shocked when she just slips right off Coco. Sahara finds herself in a really tight spot with Kuma about to chow down on her, but the giant Shosho comes through and easily stops it. She tries to crush the beast, but damn, it's tougher than steel. So she switches it up and stomps on it, but somehow it absorbs the attack and walks away without a scratch. Coco declares that Kuma is invincible and explains her ability makes her all slimy. They can't be hit, and sheer strength means nothing against them. Shosho and Sahara's abilities are all about strength, so these two are the worst opponents they could have ever faced. Back inside, Yachiho freezes time once again and straight up blasts Akira with her gun. Time's up, so the bullets hit, but Yachiho's shocked when the beast stops just inches away from taking her head off. It only stops because Yachiho's bullets take it out, but she's shocked to see her sister under attack. Himari's in serious pain, so Yachiho screams out to her. Somewhere else, Shoku's told they've found what they've been looking for. They're in a fight with a demon defense force, so Shoku decides it's time for them to introduce themselves as gods. Shoku's practice speech ain't too great, but the cream girl says she'll make them look fly when they show themselves. With that settled, Shoku decides it's time for them to make their grand entrance. Back at the fight, Ardo busts out a sick-ass attack. The unicorn tries to counter, but Kyoyuka slices his sorry ass up. Kyoyuka keeps it cool, and that's because she knows she gotta control her emotions to protect everyone. She takes charge of the fight, but she's aware that without Yuuki, her firepower is a bit lower. Kyoyuka is still able to deal a bunch of damage and vows to make the unicorn pay for all the lives it took. Meanwhile, Tenka's rocking her teleportation skills to push Ardo back. Ardo's got that superhuman speed to dodge her attacks, so Tenka teleports herself too. Ardo almost lands a devastating punch, but Tenka barely dodges that shit. Ardo starts munching on a peach, but Tenka warns her about the dangers of going overboard. But damn, those peaches have been Ardo's energy source since the accident, so she keeps chowing down to power up. She declares it's time to end the fight and straight up calls Tenka a homewrecker for trying to steal her brother. Tenka assesses the situation and figures out Ardo's got a whole arsenal of weapons. Besides her raw strength, she's got a mouth beam and the ability to harden and control her hair. On top of that, she gains strength from eating peaches. Tenka dodges the hair attacks and keeps teleporting away from a flurry of punches. Ardo's too damn fast to land a hit, and she's just trying to tire Tenka out. Tenka gets what she's planning, but thinks about how, as a captain, she can teleport 666 times in a row without getting tired. Tenka's playing the long game, waiting for Kyoyuka to take down the unicorn so they can tag team Ardo. Meanwhile, in the other fight, Coco points out that they ain't gonna be able to land a hit or grab her slippery ass body. Shosho drops a boulder on her instead, but that just pisses off Kuma, who starts attacking them. Coco reveals that the boulder did some damage, but damn, that slime of hers has regenerative powers on top of being slippery as hell. The girls are shocked to see Coco without a scratch after healing up, and Shosho is just focused on saving Yuuki. Coco spills the beans that she used her slime to heal Yuuki, and their boss has a soft spot for that dude. Coco declares that Yuuki belongs to them, and ain't nobody gonna stop them from achieving their goals. Right then, Shosho recognizes Kuma as one of the Shukis documented by the Demon Defense Force. A year ago, that thing caused some major trouble in a Mato incident. Shosho reveals they came prepared for this fight, and she tells Sahara they're gonna bust out Formation S. Coco ain't having it and tries to stop them. But it's too late because Formation seems to be a plan to straight up bail. Coco chases after them, and Sahara can't believe they're actually going through with this plan. Turns out the S in Formation stands for small because Shosho shrunk herself, and Sahara launched her tiny body straight into Kuma's mouth. Shosho straight up grows into her giant form and wrecks Kuma from the inside. Sahara pulls off her move and goes after Coco, but Coco reminds her that her damn slime makes her immune to punches. Coco gets shocked when she sees Sahara grabbing one of Kuma's teeth, and she knows shit's about to get really bad for her. Sahara uses that tooth to slice right through Coco, and Coco's left wondering how the hell she got defeated. Shosho declares that she f***ed with a girl in love, so she was doomed from the jump. And to make matters worse, they hear more Shuki coming their way, which is straight up terrible because Sahara's running on empty. As if that ain't bad enough, the girls don't even realize their opponents are starting to heal up. Now we're back with Himari, who's been captured, and Yachiho decides to rewind time. This time she spots them sneaky-ass Shuki hiding, but that makes Neon wonder how the hell she knew they were there. Neon keeps a close eye on them, while Yachiho's ability lets her move around without being noticed. Yachiho's wondering where the humanoid is hiding, and she freezes time when she realizes someone's aiming at Himari. Yachiho barely saves her sister from Neon's attack and tells Himari to stay behind her. Yachiho's gotta freeze time again when Akira shows up, but she's thinking about how she's already used her ability too many times in a row. And just like that, Neon pops out of nowhere, but this time Himari's the one protecting Yachiho. Himari thanks Yachiho for what she's done, but declares that a little sister can protect her big sis too. Neon dips into the ground, so they gotta figure out how to lure her out. Yachiho's ability is ready for action again, so she tells Himari to get ready. Yachiho's worried they might attack her before she can strike her time warping pose, so she decides to just wait it out while posing. But they can't just stand there, because they gotta keep their enemies from ganging up on the commanders. Yachiho's ability has a limit, so they can't afford to make the wrong move either. Right then, Himari spills the beans that she's got a secret weapon she's been saving for a rainy day. This'll be the first time she's ever used it in combat, but if it works, it'll definitely lure their opponent out of hiding. Himari assures her sister that she's gotten stronger, so Yachiho decides to trust her. Yachiho knows she can't hit a target she can't see, so she plans to attack blindly. Himari uses her ability to grow a bunch of guns from her hair and starts firing them in every direction. This secret attack of hers wreaks havoc and reveals Neon. The cave starts collapsing, and Neon calls the attack foolish, but Yachiho just rewinds time to right before Himari unleashes her attack. She tells Himari where Neon's hiding and Himari manages to shoot her down. Yachiho takes down Akira at the same time, and the two sisters celebrate their victory. Back with the commanders, Tenka's still dodging all of Ardo's attacks, and she even tricks Ardo into hitting the unicorn. Ardo can't believe she fell for it, and Kyouka manages to land some hits on her. Ardo's using her crazy speed to avoid more attacks, but Tenka's already figured out her moves. Tenka starts wrecking Ardo with her portal, but something stops her from finishing Ardo off. And damn, Ardo takes advantage of that hesitation and lands a massive attack on Tenka. The cave starts collapsing, and Tenka falls right in front of Yuuki. Ardo points out that she just grazed Tenka with her beam and wonders why she hesitated. Tenka explains that killing Ardo would have messed with Yuuki, so she couldn't bring herself to do it. She realizes now that it was a mistake, but she admits she's been feeling all sorts of things lately. Ardo's whole attitude changes, and she's actually glad to hear that Tenka considered Yuuki's feelings. Ardo's feeling fond of her now, and Tenka has visions of a future where they're all one big happy family. Tenka tries to act like she's okay, but it's clear she ain't in any condition to keep fighting. Ardo offers to let them run away, but she makes it clear they ain't stopping their plan to attack the bureau. Kyouka straight up refuses to retreat just as Ardo's crew shows up after getting their asses handed to them. The other girls show up soon after, but Ardo can tell they're all worn out. Neither side's willing to accept defeat, but shit hits the fan when the other humanoids arrive. Shoku straight up introduces her crew as gods, and the big girl grabs hold of Coco and Neon. Himari thought all the humanoids were on the same side, but Shoku ain't having any of it. She refuses to be grouped with what she calls the Mutts. She spills the beans that they're the 8 thunder gods and leaders of the Shuki. Everyone's damn shocked to hear this, and Shoku reveals that their job is to wipe out the human race. Shoku gives them one chance and demands that they worship them. Kuma tries to attack, but Juri straight up obliterates him with a single strike. Ardo ain't letting anyone harm her little brother, but she's in for a surprise when Kidomaru turns against her. She tries to take down the unicorn, but he just smacks her down. Shoku spills that Kidomaru got bit by one of her snakes, bringing back his original murderous nature. The monstrous Kidomaru takes off his armor, and Shoku tells him he ain't gotta hold back no more. She lets him unleash all the damage he wants, so Kidomaru charges straight at Ardo. He plans to wipe her out, but Ardo's shocked when Yuuki steps in and stops him. Yuuki demands that he keep his hands off his sister and sends Kidomaru flying. Kyouka declares it's time to take control of the fight, so they charge right at Kidomaru. A look into the past shows Kyouka enjoying her childhood in her village. She and all her friends enjoyed living so close to nature, but one day everything got wrecked. Kyouka tried to help her girl, but the unicorn took the girl's life. Fast forward to the present, and Yuuki's locked in a showdown with that demon. The unicorn blocks Kyouka's attack, and Yuuki's gotta swoop in and Yuuki must rescue her from being impaled. The battle rages on, but Jeju points out that they have completed their objective already. She thinks they should leave. Shikoko's all impressed with Yuuki's power, so she decides to stick around and watch the throwdown. She sends Jeju back without her. Yuuki keeps telling himself to stay focused over and over until he finally wrecks Kidomaru's fist. That dude's driven by his burning desire to protect his sis, and he shuts down the unicorn's attack with just one hand. Just then, the fight goes to the next level as Kidomaru turns into even more of a monster. That beatdown pushes our heroes back, but they're far from done. Yuuki takes one look at his messed up crew and puts a stop to Kidomaru's rampage. He channels all his strength into his mouth, blowing Shikoko's mind as he cracks that unicorn wide open. Kyouka follows up with a barrage of attacks, and Kidomaru reverts to his previous form. She can tell that the unicorn is getting angry, but she points out that it's nothing compared to her revenge-filled rage. These two badass heroes team up and wrap their chains around Kidomaru. Kyouka straight up declares that it's game over for that unicorn fool. She's about to unleash a technique she learned specifically to slice and dice him into pieces. Kyouka's mind races with memories of everyone she lost, and she taps into her move called Howling Cherry Blossom. Kidomaru breaks free from the chains, but Kyouka declares that it's too late. She's fueled by all the hard work she put in after her life got wrecked, and she delivers a devastating attack that cuts Kidomaru in half. Everyone watches in amazement at the victorious Kayuka, but Shikoko uses this opportunity to get away. Yuuki goes to take care of the others, and Kayuka proudly states that this win is for her hometown. Shikoko's mind is blown by the battle, and she's hella impressed with Kayuka's strength. More importantly though, Yuuki is just as fun as she had hoped. Tenka teleports everyone to safety, and Yuuki's worried about his sis. Ardo will heal soon enough, and Tinka is back. She is still in bad shape, but she feels that she has to come back since she will soon be Yuuki's wife, and she considers herself part of the family. Kayuka wonders what Ardo's gonna do next, and damn, Ardo's straight up furious. The other humanoids snatched up Neon and Coco, so she's gotta save them. Kayuka wants to lend a hand, and she points out that Ardo's really just a victim of some messed up motto situation. Tenka's down to help too, but Ardo shuts them down. She's learned to trust these two, but she can't trust their organization as a whole. Yuuki points out how dangerous it would be to stay there, but Ardo explains that they have other villages they can live in. That shocks Yuuki when the girls agree that she'd probably be safer in one of those villages. If what Ardo says about the bureau is true, then the Supreme Commander must be aware of it. Yuuki wonders what could be so bad about that, and the girls explain that something is unsettling about the Supreme Commander. Tenka points out that she couldn't force herself to eliminate Ardo, but she is sure that the Supreme Commander wouldn't even hesitate. That's just how she rolls, and that's why hiding might be the smartest move for Ardo and her group. Yuuki's worried about how long his sister and the other humanoids gotta keep laying low, but Kayuka's got an answer. They return to the dorm, and Nei's there to greet them. She explains that the others are doing okay, and they will be cleared to come back after 2 or 3 days of bed rest. With that settled, Tenka bounces back to her crib. Yuuki tries to thank her for everything, but she cuts him off and demands that he hook her up next time they link up. Nei's gotta dip and help the girls with something, and Kayuka decides to take a bath. She tells Yuuki to keep watch outside in his Shuki form, and to come get her if there's any sign of an attack. Nei senses something ain't right with Yuuki, and he explains he's just worried about the girls. Nei assures him that the Demon Defense Force has top-notch medics, but he can't help but stress. Nei reminds him that if shit goes down, he's gotta protect everyone. So she encourages him to cheer up for now. Ryuki's stomach begins to growl, so Nei goes to get him something to eat. Later on, Kayuka finishes up her bath and switches Yuuki back to his human form. She tells Yuuki to go shower, as she still must give him his reward. They link up in Kayuka's room, and guess what? The reward is just sleeping in the same bed. Yuuki is entered, so Kayuka decides to choke him out instead, as punishment for disobeying her orders during battle and listening to his sister instead of her. At the other humanoid hideout, Shikoko explains that she brought 2 of their enemies back with her, as insurance for when a certain monster becomes hungry. This monster they got needs food to grow, and it's the only god that's ever existed. Yeah, it can be a pain sometimes, but that just means it's gonna become one hell of a powerful monster. Shikoko congratulates the hostages because they're gonna have the privilege of living forever inside a freaking god, and the monster straight up consumes them. This monster is their newest god, and they all think she has limitless potential. Back at the dorm, Yuuki's throwing down in the kitchen. He cooked up a feast to celebrate everyone coming back, and to show his appreciation for them rescuing his ass. Tenka's about to taste her future hubby's food for the first time, so she's stoked for it. Yachiho starts clowning on her sis for digging this type of food, but she then declares that she will have to try some to make sure it's okay for Himari to eat. Sahara ain't having it and calls out Yachiho, saying she actually likes this grub too. Everyone prepares for a toast, and Kayuka insists that Yuuki give a speech, since he is the star this time around. Our boy Yuuki starts his speech with another thank you, but Shosho cuts him off, saying they gotta hurry up and dig in. Everybody starts feasting, and Kayuka once again shuts down Yachiho's request to have Yuuki. The girls were too busy healing up in the hospital, so they took this moment to welcome Yuuki back home. That night, Yuuki reflects on Kayuka's answer. Ardo and the others will be able to live freely when she becomes Supreme Commander and changes the Demon Defense Forest policies. She gonna wipe out the Shuki, protect Ardo and her friends, and find a way to cure them. Ardo's feeling that answer because she's done hiding. Just then, the cave begins to collapse, so Yuuki tells Ardo to come with them to the surface. Ardo embraces her brother and leaves him with an item. She tells him to fix it for her and begins to leave. But before she goes, she reassures Yuuki that everything gonna be alright and she gonna watch over him. The cave keeps collapsing, so they gotta bounce, but Yuuki has one last thing to say to his sis. He declares he gonna find a way to help her, and she admires how strong he's become. Yuuki has been grinding this whole time to be a hero, but now it's more than that. His new reason for throwing down is to cure his big sis. The next morning, Yuuki's straight up shocked to find Tenka chilling in his room. She reminded him that he was supposed to reward her, so she was watching him sleep until he woke up. Kayouka barges in on them, and Tenka dips to handle some paperwork. Yuuki tries to explain, but Kayouka decides that she will have to remind him who his master is. After that, Yuuki links up with Himari, but she's disappointed to see he's already tired. Yuuki explains that it's all Kayouka's fault, and Himari understands, as that is definitely something she would do. Himari called him there because she wanted his help getting stronger. She want to level up her peach ability so she can be a solid asset for Kayouka. So they start training together. Shosho's lurking nearby, reminding herself to be patient. She's been analyzing Yuuki's love levels for all the girls and made some fancy graphs. Mei peeps the weirdness, but she senses a gateway just opened up. The girls hop on their truck, and Yuuki transforms. The girls then put in some serious work against all the Shuki, but one giant demon appears. Kayouka declares that this will be how she becomes Supreme Commander, and Yuuki declares that this will be how he becomes a hero. They team up and defeat the giant demon, and we see that Ardo is nearby. She declares that she must rescue her friend, and she takes off. Thank you for watching. This is the 12th and final episode.